Hi everyone, and a warm welcome to today's webinar on enhancing your Excel reporting for MYOB Advanced, or now known as MYOB Acumatica. I'm Juanita Pothita from Avanza Solutions, and we're really excited to collaborate with Velixo for today's discussion and demo. Many of you are familiar names as you are already Avanza Solution customers and you're already using Acumatica, but I do also see a few new names, so we're really excited to have you along as I'm assuming you're already also considering MYOB Acumatica. So just to give you a brief background, Avanza Solutions is a proud, dedicated MYOB Acumatica partner, and we are also a member of the Verde group of companies here in New Zealand. Together, we support over 150 customers with a range of products, including MYOB Greentree, Oracle NetSuite, and of course, MYOB Acumatica. Now, at Avanza, we partner only with certified MYOB independent software vendors, or as we know them, ISVs, or better, as we like to call them, add-ons. Now, these add-ons further enhance your MYOB Acumatica experience. Many of our clients are already seeing great benefits from using Velixo, and thus we wanted to put this together as we believe you may also benefit from it. Now, Velixo is an Excel-based reporting tool that integrates with MYOB Acumatica, and it adds over 80 specialized functions that work perfectly with the general ledger, the project module, write-back, and generic inquiries. And we'll get into that a bit further shortly. Now, Velixo is so tightly integrated with MYOB Acumatica, and the value proposition is so significant that the Velixo licenses are actually sold via MYOB. So it's just an additional license on your existing MYOB subscription. So today I'm really excited to introduce Chris Miller from Velixo, who will give you a detailed overview of Velixo and also demonstrate how it works. I hope you do find this demonstration useful, and if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to just put your hand up and ask. This is a very informal chat, but if you would like to discuss anything further after the webinar, both Chris and I will be more than happy to chat. Now, enough from me. I'll hand over to you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for attending. Really appreciate it. I love doing sessions with smaller groups, so please interrupt me at any stage. I should know our product by now. So as Juanita said, we are the distributors of Velixo in Australasia, and we stand behind absolutely everybody. Please see us as an extension of Juanita's team at Avanza, and they've got skills, we've got skills. Whatever happens, you'll get sorted out with Velixo. Okay, we're a company that only does business intelligence work. That's it. So we're a group of analysts. We work from all over the world, and like to think that we have a niche in the, let's call it, the reporting analysis market. Okay, so this is the wrong place to start, so I'll just escape out of that and go bang, sorry, and start that again. That's where I'm supposed to be. So we're going to talk data automation and effortless reporting, and that's the key about Velixo. That's what it will give you. Okay, so things I'm going to go through today. Everybody says, "Oh, my product's got reporting in." Well, every single one of you, and I'm happy to debate it, uses Excel in some form manually to get what you want. It might be a process to calculate things to get to an end product. It might be just standard reporting that you're dumping information in and doing things like that. It could be anything, but everybody uses Excel manually. It is such a powerful tool. For us, it's a no-no if it's manual. If it's integrated, the world changes completely. I'll go through some of that. I'll go through the pain points that Velixo actually addresses, just to remind you about some of the things you probably haven't even thought about, and the consequences of those. Then we'll go through a demonstration, and lastly, I always leave time for questions and answers, anything, and please just ask. Okay, all right. So let's look at the differentiators. It's I had to make this change, Juanita. I had to put Acumatica in there. I just noticed it just for the demo. It's completely integrated with MYOB Acumatica. Okay, so what does that mean? So the first thing is that when you open a Velixo report, you actually log into it. Those credentials are from MYOB Acumatica. They're not our credentials. The security in Acumatica is so powerful that you can restrict most things in it. So when you open a report, that flows through into the report. If you can't see something in Acumatica, you will not get in your report. Simple as that. Okay. There's nothing else that does that. Okay. The next thing that is a differentiator is when you're using an integrated tool, you've got one version of the truth. Everybody can open the same file, log into it, and look at their data. All right. That data comes from your database, which is MYOB Acumatica. We don't have a database. We're not building a cube. We're not putting anything else in. It's all coming out of Acumatica. And Acumatica, as you know, is such a powerful solution. You can do anything with it. We've just had a couple of clients actually have come to us and said, well, we need 5 years of history of our sales data. I said, okay, well, we've now got a customization that puts tables into Acumatica and puts 5 years of history there for you. So there's all sorts of ways of doing things, but one version of the truth is the key. The next is anything that you've got in your MYOB advanced, didn't change that one, Acumatica database, sorry, some more money in the jar, it can be accessed with Velixo. And that means you can do a report on anything, okay, and analysis on anything, all right? The key about Velixo reporting is two things. It's dynamic and three-dimensional. When we go through the demo, I'll show you a thing called a dynamic array. That's like the building blocks, the times tables of business intelligence reporting. Okay, and what it ensures is that your reports, once you've done them, become maintenance-free. Okay, so if you think about your normal situation, everybody does reporting, somebody adds another general ledger code or another sub-account or whatever, and it's not in your report. Or you put it in sheet 3, 5, and 6, but you forget 13, 14, and 15. And your reports are a mess, and you spend half a day trying to work out where the error is. So if these reports are dynamic, they become maintenance-free, save you hours. The other is the three-dimensional side. So, you know, if you run a report in Acumatica and you want to say change the period, you go back into Acumatica, you go change the parameter, you regenerate the report. In Velixo, it's three-dimensional. You change it, changes in front of you. I'll show you that. Okay. The next thing is in the integration, because of the tightness, you can drill down from a report to your base data. And I'll show you that. There's not many products that allow you to do that because they don't have as slick an integration as this thing does. Okay. And another part where it really works well is not only can you automate, but you can distribute reports. So most board packs and management reports are sent out and somebody will go, okay, do this in the email, do that in the email. People get there and you get to a board meeting or management meeting and people start asking questions because they don't have all the detail at their fingertips. If they have a Velixo license, they can actually drill through the report and answer their questions. So maybe your meetings can be half the length that they normally are. And then the big one, all right? The big one is automation. So I can give you lots and lots of examples, but probably to understand what it is, anything you can enter through a screen in MYOB Advanced, Acumatica, you can actually write back with Velixo. All right. So think of the following. We have a hospital in South Australia. They've got what's called Impress stores. So that's an Impress store is just an emergency store cupboard in an operating theatre, on a ward, in an emergency bay, where you need stuff, you go and take it out. Now, those things are not just consumables, a tracheal tube or something for an operation. It's something that's tracked, but you haven't got time to book it out and do that because otherwise the anaesthetist is going to get quite irritated with you. And currently the guys spend hours going up and doing these stock takes. The ones in the wards, in the operating theatres are done 2-3 times a day. And anyway, they came to us, they had Velixo, and they said, is there any way you can help to automate this? So what they do now is they push a button and produce a set of lists of go and do all of these stores together, and we achieve that by putting 2 attributes onto each store of where it was in the hospital, so we focused effort, and also how often it was done. So now you've got a list of 5. Then the easy thing is, instead of going up with a piece of paper, they just walk with a laptop that's on the internet, do their stock take in a Velixo report, hit the button. It automatically creates the pick list, writes it into Acumatica. It then also prints it out in the main store for somebody to start picking while the person's still upstairs. And it then transfers the stock from the main store to the Impress store, the emergency store, and issues it so it goes through P&L. Then you go next door because you're now all in one place, and it all just happens. You get back, you've done 5 or 6, and there's a trolley waiting with everything that you can go and replenish these things. Saving 200 to 300 hours a month. Okay, that's what automation achieves. Okay, all right. The pain points, and I always come back to these because people forget them. Dump to Excel. Everybody does it. You go and dump, and then you work with it, and then somebody changes the dump, and your reports change, and it just causes a nightmare, and it's inefficient. It's not the dump that is the problem. It's the errors that come from that dump that cause the problem, and they can cost you, in some companies, I think big companies, millions. Okay. With Excel not being integrated, it's just time wasting. You spend hours doing manual reporting. You ask most people, and I'm sure if I ask you the question, how long does it take you to do your monthly management reports and your board pack and those sort of things? Anywhere between half a day and 10 days a month. Some companies. Okay, that's where it saves it. Security, the problem of knowing who's seeing what, it sorts that issue out. One version of the truth, that is always the pain point. Somebody says, I wonder who's got this report open or that report, or this is different. Why are reports different? They can't be different with Velixo. Okay. Manual distribution. You go to the report and then you send it to this person, then you send another one to that person, different one to that person. Whereas with Velixo, you can just automate that. We have a customer in Queensland who sends out 54 sales reports to 54 salespeople on their own customers every morning. It's automated. Hit the button, off it goes. Entering data and repetitive work, very similar to what I've described to you with the write back. That's where the automation comes in. If you are putting data in a number of times and then doing things with it, and you can automate it, Velixo has that side of it. That's the other half that people forget about. And then the time factor of configuring analysis. People say, well, explain that to me. Well, I will explain it quickly. Somebody says to me, I need a sales report. It's okay, well, what are you going to do? Get in a sales report? What are you going to do with that? Well, I'm looking for any customers who haven't bought this product before. I said, okay, well, what you're asking an analyst to do is give you a report, needs to give you that answer as part of that report. Yes, you can have all the base data, but you can use all the base. Hi, Greg. Chris Miller here. You can use all the base data and then automatically pull it into exactly what you want to see. You mustn't have to go through reams of data to find something. It's just a rule that you're intuitively applying. Excel handles rules. That's what it's all about. A formula is a rule, okay? And you can make it do and give you the answer, okay? So that's the key, all right? All right, okay. Let me just stop at this point and say, are there any questions from anybody? I mean, it's not a huge group of people, and we've got time, so happy to answer if anybody's got anything at this point in time. Okay, all right. Well, in the demo, I'm going to take you through some functionality firstly. Then I'll get out of my demo report. I'm not going to click you to death. That's not the way we do demos. And I don't want you to see how clever I am, because I'm not. I get people to build these reports for me. I'm going to show you the financial reporting pack that we give to anybody who buys Velixo and buys training. Okay. I'll also take you through a payroll pack. Yes, it's an Aussie version. There is a New Zealand version as well. And what that illustrates is if you have the correct report, it covers a couple of things. One, it doesn't only give you the information, you can also use these things as audit tools. Okay. And you'll pick that up immediately by looking at that pack. Did somebody ask a question there? Not. Okay. All right. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll show you some write back in automation. And simply using purchase orders, I'll create purchase orders in the system. And then at the same time, what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll attach a soft copy of a purchase order to that transaction. Best example of that is a customer in Melbourne. They were set up with 6,000 different stock items and absolutely perfectly. And at the end, they turned around to the consultant who had done and said, "Where's my thumbnail image? It goes with every one." And I said, "No, sorry, those you have to do one by one." Well, we did it in 15 minutes with Velixo. So you can use it to upload data, upload images, upload documents, mass upload. Somebody said the other day, can we upload CAD documents, so design documents? And the thing back from Velixo guys, yes, you can, but you're going to break the database at the size of the database. You need to get a very big database for Acumatica. So that's the only hurdle there. Okay. All right. Let's go back to my reporting. Okay. So first question is, where is Velixo? The current form for you to use is called Velixo Classic. Please remember that. There's also another version called NX, which works in Excel Online, the Excel app, and on a Mac. Please don't use it here yet, because we are not on we're not on the same versions as Canada and the US from an Acumatica perspective. So we use Classic. I'm working in Excel 365 on the desktop. Please know that that is the most powerful version of Excel that exists. Okay. All right. And they are different. People don't know that they're different unless you're using them extensively, and then you'll find out they're very different. Okay. So this is Velixo. If I look at this report, it was live when I opened it. Okay. If I want to refresh it, I just do a full refresh, goes in, and now what it's doing is rebuilding my cache. Remember I said to you the security flows through. When you rebuild your cache, I'll get to the login next, you're building it with your credentials. So that'll only show what I'm allowed to see. So that is how Velixo passes that security through. Now, the immediate thing is, well, we have lots of things that build cubes. It's not a cube, it's a cache. And it's a summary cache, and it's sitting in your Excel instance. So if I take this report and send it to Juanita, she gets the report with no data. She needs to log in and build her own cache. Okay, and that's a key thing. That's how we transfer security, and everybody then gets their own data. I'll talk about distribution later, and there are other ways of distributing reports, but that's your conscious decision of what you want to distribute. Had a question yesterday, somebody doing a big government request for a proposal, and the big question was, well, what about security? Where do you hold our data? We don't hold your data. You hold your data in your domain, in your Excel instance. There's no cube or anything like that. Okay. All right. Here's my connection. So that was live at the moment I did the refresh with every transaction in the system that we've pulled into this report. Here's my connection manager. All right, quickly, this FD is quite important. It doesn't have to be FD. It can be exactly what you make it. Or we say, make it short because you use that in every function. You'll see me use it. Okay, this is my URL, exactly the same. You've got your own URL. Your license sits on there. It's in the cloud. It's provisioned. So you never install a license key. When you try and connect, it goes through that connection. Okay, you connect at a tenant level. If you've got multiple tenants, you can have multiple connections in a report. Okay, you don't need a new license. The license is at the level above that. Okay, and then these credentials come from MYOB Advanced. They do not come from us, Acumatica. Okay, they're not from us. You've got the ability to use 2FA, so that button will do your 2FA, and that's a normal connection. Okay, so that's my connection. Simple report. Okay. Let me open up this report quickly and just show you how it's configured to give you an idea. Okay, so this report is written on periods, please know Velixo works on dates too. So you can do daily, weekly, whatever report, arrange, whatever, it doesn't matter. But this is on periods. Now, somebody said to us the other day, okay, we work in periods, but we budget in weeks, and we can't do that. I said, of course you can. Just have another tenant and put that tenant in with the master calendar set to 52 periods and then budget in there. And, oh, makes sense. So, and then you just use Velixo to bring them together. So there's all sorts of things you can do with it. Okay. Velixo uses functions. So if you have a look at this here, I'm using a function called account turnover. You do not need to learn them. You need to know they exist. And then Excel has a thing in it called IntelliSense. ChatGPT, everybody loves it. Flavor of the month. Well, IntelliSense has been there for years. It's also a form of AI. Okay. Now, one way of making reports dynamic is using an account class. So anybody that we work with, we will go through your account classes and make sure that they're correct. And when you're financial reporting, they are phenomenally powerful in making your reports dynamic. They're an aggregation of information. They have no impact on your transactional work. They're purely a reporting layer. Okay. And this report, I'm looking at the account class, I'm looking at your actual ledger, and I'm looking at the first period. Okay. So if I drill down now, and if I want to find out what makes up that number, I can go to the top in the menu, or I can just right click, and there's my drill down at the bottom, and my first level drill down into my cache. So nice and quick. I'll come back to this blue later. I've just realized I didn't open my, what did I? No, just give me a second. I'm just going to open on the other screen and just go here. 1 second. Okay, all right, that'll do its thing there. Okay, so if you look at that, I'm in my actual ledger. I'm in account 600, 570. Here's nice canned demo data. Lots of different sub-accounts, and they look duplicated, all right, until you come to the right and see you've got different branches here, which then takes me to just tell you that your address for a piece of data in your general ledger is your general ledger code, your branch code, and your sub-account. Okay, and your sub-account is 30 dimensions in as many segments as you want to make it, and there's some rules around it, but fundamentally that is incredibly granular. You add that to the ledger structure in advance, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and you can do anything. We have a customer that's used in 7 segments, all 30 dimensions, and their general ledger, just from the sub-account point of view, runs to 43,000 unique sub-accounts. Velixo didn't fall over. That's why I'm telling you that. Okay, so there's my 155,719.80, which we had 155,720 there in the report. I'll go back there in a moment. If you now want to look at any one of those transactions, and I'll just bring this over. I'm just busy signing in to my tenant. Okay, I'll minimize that. Just give it a moment. Okay. All right, if you want to look at any one of these transactions, you click the button, okay, and it'll strike you straight into advanced, straight to that transaction. Okay, now you can just continually drilling normally. There's my actual ledger. I'm in Rapid Byte Sydney, which is one of my main branches. First period, 600, 570, and then there's my sub-account. Now you can just keep drilling, okay. I'll leave that open because I'm going to come back to it again. All right, so that's your drill down functionality, makes your life easy. If somebody has a license and they drill down, say, managers, bosses, directors, whatever, they save hours because they can answer their questions. What makes up this number? What makes up that number? Board meetings is probably the most inefficient thing that happens in a company, but also it's got the most expensive people sitting around the table at the same time. So if you can minimize time, you've saved money. Okay. All right. Let's go back to where I was earlier in this report.
I just have a quick question, Chris.
Yeah, sure.
On that, if you don't have the license and the access to be able to view it, but you've been sent it, what does it show?
Okay, so I'll deal with distribution in a moment and I'll cover exactly that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
Okay, so I told you, so that's the dynamic nature and there's lots of ways of doing it. Okay, I'll show you the dynamic arrays, but you can make your reports dynamic. That's the key, zero maintenance. The other side of these reports is three-dimensional. So let's close this up a bit. It's okay. So I'm looking at the 2020 year. I want to look at the 21. You change it, everything changes in front of you. I haven't gone back into Acumatica, changed the parameter, regenerated. I've changed it. Okay. Now where the world changes is ledgers. Okay, I'm looking at my actual ledger. I want to look at my budget. There's my budget. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about ledgers for a moment because they're something that makes our life very, very easy. So the first thing is that you've got an actual ledger. Everybody's got an actual ledger. That's where your transactional work happens. And everybody's got a budget ledger. A lot of people don't know they can have as many budget ledgers as they like. Okay. So with Velixo, I'll get onto budget right back a little bit later, but you forecast, most companies reforecast through the year, and then somebody keeps another Excel sheet, and then it's not in the right place, or they overwrite their budget. It's just a mess. So your different ledgers allow you to segment your data, and literally you can flick between them. You can change to your different ledger. Okay. There's another type of ledger that a lot of people don't know about that is so powerful. It's called a statistical ledger. It's for holding non-financial information. I'll give you a fantastic New Zealand example. We've got a big hotel chain in New Zealand. They have 14 hotels now. And every metric in the hotel industry starts with numbers of rooms per sale per night per hotel. Okay. They have a Velixo report, every hotel manager. That relationship of rooms available is not a linear one. It changes every day. And they have a report where they just update their figures for the week or the month or whatever they know is happening, hit a button, writes back into the stat ledger. When their board packs run and their management reports run, it pulls that out. And that's the base in your calculation for your stat ledger. Another good example, everybody in New Zealand understands farming, is in Australia, a whole lot of farms, and they keep their predicted and actual rainfall for every farm, and every farm is a sub-account in the stat ledger. When their board pack runs, they've got the most amazing analysis of good rainfall. I think the guys at the Bureau of Meteorology here would be very impressed. Okay. Don't forget that your ledgers form an integral part of your reporting and as a repository for data. Okay. All right. Enough on that. Here's my Velixo menu. Here's your distribution. Okay. So these are just the same reports looking at different levels. Okay. With the distribution tool, you set it up once and then you can distribute things. Now, to answer your question, I think it was Kylie who asked that. Was it? Yeah, it was Kylie. If somebody has a Velixo license, you send it as Excel, Kylie. So they get it, they open it, it'll ask them to log in, and off they go. If they don't have a license, okay, you send it as an Excel sheet. But the Velixo formulas are written to values at the time you send it. So they're getting a usable report. Your graphics will work, your macros will work in it, your pivot tables will be working, but you cannot refresh it and you can't drill down through it. No, people say, well, that's useless.
Still get the data.
They'll still get the data. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And what we've done many times for customers say, okay, well, let's get clever in how we write the report and bring in the data at a more granular level so that you can actually then just put a drill down so they can see the detail from their summary reporting in there. Okay. You can remove all formulas and write them to values. You can PDF it, okay, a report, and we distribute it. And somebody gave me a reason why there was none there. It just went in one ear, not the other. I don't send people nothing. We're all too busy. Okay. All right. So that's all I'll tell you on the distribution, other than you can schedule it to run and it just goes. All right. So there's lots of ways of doing things. So that is a key, I think, powerful factor in a decision to look at a tool like Velixo, because you can distribute easily. Saves you hours. Okay. All right. If I come to this section, this is where half the power is. Okay. So you can write back all your journals. If you think about, your journals generally happen at the end of a set of work papers. Well, put the Velixo write back sheet there and just link it all up. And then when you're finished, hit the button and Velixo will upload them straight back into your journals. I'll show you that with purchase orders a bit later. The key to understanding this this write back and getting it to do things, when I show you the payroll report, I'll explain it in a bit more detail, but it really, the efficiency of uploading data with Velixo is so much more powerful than uploading it natively into Acumatica. Budget upload, I'm going to show you in a moment. If you're using projects, putting your project forecasts in, pretty standard thing. And then we get to the numero uno really of everything is your generic write back. Generic write back allows you to pick up an import scenario, and you can write an import scenario on just about any piece of data you can enter through a screen, so we can put data back in. All right, it's almost like a trump card. You can, all the things above that, journals, budgets, and things, you can be done with a generic write back anyway. Okay, so let's go and say if I push this budget sheet, this is the animal that I get. Okay, and yes, it's only got 10 lines. You could have 100,000 lines, doesn't matter, you just add them in. I want to show you the granularity. So the connection tells me where to go and look at data. Then you're holding data at a branch level, because I said to you that that is a part of your address for a piece of data. From a point of view of your ledger, you can have multiple ledgers, and you could put it into the budget, you could put it into a forecast quarter 1, forecast quarter 2, doesn't matter. You don't have to have one for each year, because every ledger has the concept and dimension of a financial year attached to it. Then you're at an account level and a sub-account level. You cannot get any more granular than that in Acumatica. All right. This amount is your budget. You then distribute that across your periods, and you have a check here to make sure that they're equal, and then you'd write them back. So you can turn this into a tool. Okay, so what I've done is I've started here, just keeping it simple. Put some connection details for my workbook in. I've put 5 account numbers in. I've just used 1 sub-account. These columns I've added. I've said, well, I don't know what I'm looking at. I want to see a name here. So here is some names of the account, and that's just a Velixo formula called account name. You'll see me use it next. Okay. In this column, I could go and bring in last year's turnover, which is just another formula, okay? And then I could factor it here and change my amount to a formula. Still give me an amount, but you've now increased it, say for next year's budget or whatever. And then you distribute it across the periods. You can do it with formulas, you can do it however complex you want to get. Once you've done it and you're happy and everybody's happy with the budget, you hit the button and it puts that straight back into MYOB Advanced. So there we go. All right, so that's back into your database. I'm not going to go and show you that now. I'll do that with the purchase orders. I'm just trying to save a bit of time. Okay. All right, so how does this thing actually work? So we're getting to the tools now, which help you in reporting, and let's go and look at this. Okay. So I want to build your trial balance. I want you to understand, or just the start of a trial balance, I want you to understand how the periods work. Okay, and how dynamic arrays work. I want you to understand that dynamic arrays and formulas work together. Okay, and I'll show you IntelliSense. Okay, so I'm using my actual ledger. This is a dynamic array. I've got a formula in the top called financial period list. When I say you only need to understand what the formulas are, you don't have to learn them. You just start typing, and IntelliSense tells you what to do. If you see the border around the set of numbers, that tells me that it's a dynamic array. Okay, so there's a function in the top, 1 down, it's grayed out, there's nothing there, it spills the data. Okay, I've taken that and I've built a drop-down list here of all the periods. Okay, and I'll use that in this trial balance. The first thing you need in a trial balance is your general ledger. Okay, so let's go and insert the chart of accounts, which is a gimmick that we use. It's actually just a function called expand account range. And there you have my whole general ledger, and that was live now. And if you add another one, it'll come into there when you refresh the report. Okay, but you want a name for that. So let me show you how that works. So this is a dynamic array. You can see the border around it. So you just start typing, go equals name. Okay, there's my account name function. All right, and this is IntelliSense. Tells me what to do. This is the connection, and I told you before mine was FD, so you put it in FD, inverted commas, so that Excel knows it's a name. standard Excel syntax. And then you've got the account number that you want the name for. There it is. Okay. Now I can close the bracket and then I can copy that down. But if you then add another GL account or two, you'll have two at the bottom where it doesn't have a formula. But dynamic arrays and formulas work together. So if I put a hash after that, it picks up the whole thing. Everybody gets a name. Okay. Now that's dynamic. You add another GL account, it'll get a name. Let's get a bit more complex and look at an ending balance. We go equals account. And there's my account ending balance. I could have gone equals ending, but it doesn't look as cool because it just gives you a much shorter list. Okay, so there's my connection, FD. All right, it's telling me what to do. It says, okay, where's the ledger you're using? There's my actual ledger, and you'll learn in training. F4 just locks it so it doesn't drag. Standard 101 Excel. Okay, next thing is an account class. I'm not using account classes in this report, so I go past it, and I'm using my account number. But once again, I want the whole array. All right. Sub-account, I'm not using sub-accounts, but I'm sure you've all got sub-accounts. And please know that you can use wildcards in sub-accounts. So you can report on one digit of one segment if that's what you want. Okay. Branches I'm not using, but I am using a period. There it is there. And I'll lock it again. All right. And now we start deviating from the norm, and you can look at posted or unposted items. Okay. If you had different calendars, you could have different calendars and you could select your calendar. I don't. Close the bracket and hit enter. Everything gets a value. Quick and easy. It really is slick and easy. Okay. Now there's another thing in this that is quite good. So there's a hide 0 rows and auto hide. Everything has the ability to hide things. This auto hide I thought was one of the coolest things I'd seen. If I now change a parameter, it'll unhide where I've put the auto hide, which I've put on the account ending balance, and then rehide it. It'll be quick, but there you have it. Saw that? Okay. That functionality that I've shown you is the base. Now I've finished clicking you to death. Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right, I'm going to load another report quickly, and I will talk you through this financial pack. So how we do training and how we suggest our partners do training is that we give you this pack. It should cover the basis of what most companies have in their management reports from a financial perspective. Okay, this report is dynamic. You can map it, you can change it. If we're doing your training, we actually use this in the training. So the outcome is something you actually need. Okay, so in this report, you would select your financial year, then you would select your reporting period and your budget and your forecast. Okay, then it's got a whole lot of reports in it. So it's got 2 dashboards, which I'll take you through. It's got 3 profit and loss reports with increasing detail. It's got a nice summary level balance sheet, a revenue trend and an expense trend, just to make your board pack look cooler, make people happy. It's got an indirect cash flow. So indirect cash flow, working off your movements, not working off your cash coming in. We have got cash reports, difficult to do, and we sell them, and you could buy them through Avanza. Okay. These last 2 reports have got absolutely nothing to do with the pack. But we put them in because we found in the training there are 2 reports that everybody asked for. One is a searchable trial balance. Another one I'll explain now and just say when you in advanced, in Acumatica, and you start looking for something, because it's browser based, you look and look and look, and then you get down to 6 or 8 browser sheets, and you're looking for data, and it's easy to go dump to Excel and continue looking in Excel. Okay. I'm 100% sure all of you are nodding and you all do it. Okay, so don't even do that. Just start with this report. It's got every GL transaction in it. Refresh it and then have a look there, and you know exactly where to find what you're looking for. Could save you hours. Okay, let's look at these dashboards. I'm just going to truncate my ribbon. All right, so what have you got here? You've got a couple of metrics around your P&L. Okay. You've got some graphics and you've got some profitability ratios and liquidity ratios. You don't want to use it, just dump it, hide it, whatever. Okay. Here's a less complicated dashboards, just a financial dashboard looking at the metrics around your P&L, some graphics, but you've also got your receivables and payables in here. Okay. Then we get to your first profit and loss. This is dynamic based on our account classes. In the training, we map it to your account classes. And now you've got a report that is dynamic and you can drill through it. You can do all sorts of things. The standard is by entity, okay? But you can add sub-accounts. You can add anything into there, okay? Every company we ever worked with uses some derivative of current month year to date in their reporting. And I'm sure you guys are exactly the same, all right? So there's a dynamic P&L. You know it'll balance, or balance, the P&L is unbalanced, but you know that it'll be right. Okay. If you wanted to drill down, it's a big drill down because I'm doing it at all entity levels. So I've just got it here. What I wanted to show you here, it's not just one account in this one. When I did the other drill down was one. You've got 600, 570, but you've also got other account numbers. So when you drill, it'll do everything that's in that account class. Now, you don't have to use account classes. You can go down to ranges of accounts. You can go down to individual account numbers, like I'll show you in a moment. Okay. Here's another report, exactly the same. Let's call it the x-axis, I think. X and y-axis. All right, well, this axis here. And you've got quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can open them up, actual budget variance. Okay, it's just the way we've built that report. Okay, it's also on entity. The next in this pack is a P&L month, but at a detailed level. So this is on detailed ranges of accounts. It's also dynamic. The worst that can happen here is you might get a spill error. So you just have to add a row because a new account's been added and your dynamic array is going on to the next one. This is done by periods. Okay, so we can close that up, but you've got everything you need here. Actual budget. You've got all your detail by account number as well. Okay. Here's a nice clean balance sheet by entity. You've got an opening balance, a year-to-date moving, a closing balance. This movement is the movement in the period you selected up front. Okay. And you'll always know when we finish, if this doesn't balance, we will tell you. There'll be a very good reason that you'll need to go and find. If it doesn't balance here, it's not balancing in your books. Okay. All right. Here we've got a indirect cash flow, all right, with a waterfall chart. And let's go down. Here's your revenue trend, expense trend, trial balance, searchable. Okay, so you can run it by entity, and every one of these drop downs can be used to get to where you want to go to quickly. Okay. Here's your GL transaction report. You can look at this by entity. You can look at it by account range, period range, date range, doesn't matter. And you come into the system and you want to start looking for something. The first thing you do is a full refresh. It goes and clears it out and then brings in every transaction. That's live now. There's nothing in the system that you haven't got yet. And now you can search it. Okay. So that is the financial pack that you get as part of the training. Okay. All right, so I always suggest that people do training. Everybody thinks they can use Excel, and you can. With the Velixo, it's the tricks that will make sure your reporting's dynamic and also three-dimensional. That's the key. Okay, any questions while I'm just loading my payroll pack quickly to show you? What? Everybody put you all to sleep. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is an Aussie payroll pack, but there is a New Zealand one as well. And what I wanted you to understand from this pack is how Velixo works from a reporting perspective. You, within the payroll side of Acumatica, can go in and do things and run reports. And you can run this report in any way you want. You can run the standard reports, and if you want to run 10 reports and then go and analyze each one, pull the data out, put it together, that's fine. Okay, works for you, that's cool. I showed this to a customer who's a payroll-only customer in Sydney. There were two ladies, one lady almost in tears. She said, what you've just done in a minute takes me 3 days to do. I said, okay, that's cool, thank you. The next one said, this thing called STP analysis. So STP in Australia, I don't know of the New Zealand equivalent if there isn't one, but we have a New Zealand pack too, that that is the reporting back to the Australian Taxation Office. And if you get that wrong, it can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to the ATO because they assume you haven't paid your staff correctly. Okay. She looked at this and went, problem. And you'll see when I look at the base data that I've got here, it is a problem because there's a whole lot of stuff that's not categorized. So it is an audit tool. Okay. Right at the end here is the GL account reconciliation. We look at the payroll and say the payroll says this is what should be in your GL. We look at the GL and say this is what you've got. The two should marry. Right? It should be the same, you would think. And sadly enough, they very seldom are. And that can take lots of time and a lot of effort to get right. So let's move through it quite quickly. With 3 employee reports, entitlement reports, so entitlement or would be leave and that sort of stuff. Then all around pay, you can look at your pay in different ways, and then the recon. Here's your HR dashboard, and I'll just drop that again. My data is really scrungy, so I apologize. It's just a picture of what's going on really in the company. Then you've got all the employee detail. This area, in fact, any area here, has got nothing in it. And when you look at an employee in Acumatica, you don't actually see everything you want to see. You might have to go to other tabs or things. So we just say, okay, here's your list of employees. Here's an employee you want to change to another employee, change. And then they'll have here. What's missing here for me is maybe visa status, where people live, whatever. You could be all sorts of things, okay? Staff turnover report, very important. And then your full-time equivalence reports by department and then by employee. Okay, and we're looking at entitlement. Here's all your entitlements. I don't have much data, but when I did it on that childcare center, well, this list just went on ad infinitum. Okay, but you've got all your entitlements, and you can always look at your across departments, across employees, units, whatever you need to. Okay, leave taken, quite important to know, quick and easy. It's just you can always work it out. From your entitlements, but this is just giving you the numbers in your calculation. And then it's all very well saying, oh, somebody took 5 days here or 6 days there or whatever, but what days did they take? Okay, so this then gives you the actual detail. I've heard people say, well, that's really useful because I always go to the calendar and go 1, 2, 3. This just tells you it all. Okay. Now you're starting to get into your payment side, looking at your gross payment analysis. This is the company as a whole, and you're looking across branch, department, year, and month of payroll that went through. Pay runs, okay, I've only got one pay run that I'm looking at here, but I can take the filter off and you look at everything. And that's by employee with all their pay items and what they've actually been paid. Pay item by pay run. It's closed up, but you can open it up and see it by employee as well. Okay. And then going up to the next one, not relevant to you, but this is your ATO categorization. This very interesting thing from my perspective was if I do that, I've got this here, which is very scary, is nothing. How can I do a report to the ATO if I don't know what category things go into? Okay. There's pay items in dollars, pay items in units, okay? And then this is my STP summary, which I've already shown you. Another form, here's your account recon. So this is what the payroll says should be in your GL. This is what is in my GL. There should be nothing here, okay? You're doing something wrong if there's something in your variance column, all right? And then there's a detail by account. And the exception report, do whatever you want to there, but we just look at employees who are inactive in the system, but they don't have an end date. You can't be inactive with no end date. So we looked at that on that one company. They had 25 people here. 5 of them didn't even have a name. So it was just messy in the system. People had tested this or done that. I don't know, but I hope nobody was paying them. Okay. And Alice here is active, but she has an end date. So that's a bit of a worry. So that's a payroll report. Just watching the time. We've got 5 minutes left. I want time for questions. So let me ask any questions while I'm busy loading. I'm going to write back purchase orders for you quickly. Okay. Any questions?
I think there might be like I said, I'll share the recording also afterwards, and I think you might get more questions as everyone digests it all and then come back.
No,
to us.
that's fine. So what you can do is please share my details. Okay. Last thing to show you is if I go into the Velixo menu, all right, and I go here and I click generic write back. Okay. And I want to create some purchase orders in the system. So I go and pick an import scenario called purchase orders. Okay. And I'll build that. Okay. And it'll then put that in the system, and then I can start putting things in. I think that's ALC actually. Yeah, there we are. So everything's pending here for the write back. Okay. I've taken that and I've put some detail in it. So we need to give me a number between 40 and 50.
45.
45. I was waiting for you to say 35, and then I was going to have a go at you.
I had to think about that.
Okay. All right. So I've got 3 purchase orders here. This one's got 45, and it's also got an attachment called item request. Okay. And I'm going to put those into Acumatica. So like I did with the budget, write back. And it's going through that import scenario and putting it in the system. Okay. So it gets faster. It opens the pipe and then puts all the connections in and then gets faster and faster and faster. As you do it, done. Says write back went with attachment. Okay, using that. If I go back to MYOB Advanced, Acumatica, and go and look at purchase orders. This is my demo system. Okay. Here we've got today's date, 14th. We've got 3 purchase orders. Remember, it goes in from the top down. So the first one that went in was the one with 45. It has this attachment on it, which is my item request. Okay. All I ask you is to, when you look at this functionality, is to dream a bit. Okay. Now, you all have access to a free light version. You can do nothing with it. Okay. It's very basic. You can do some financial stuff with it. It's limited to 1 user, to 2 sheets. If anybody wants to look at and trial, we give you a proper trial for 30 days. It's a full thing. We'll work with you. Avanza will work with you and get you to the stage where you can actually have a look at how this works. That costs you nothing. Okay. And it's a really powerful tool. So that's all from my side.
Thanks, Chris. I think if you are keen to trial that, if you can get in touch with myself, I will arrange that for you with Chris, and also just confirm when run that past your consultant as well. So if there's any questions, please just ask. But I'm assuming as we're not hearing anything, that everyone's all right and no questions. Okay. That's it then. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate you taking the time to demo this. I have definitely learned a few things, and I've seen some things, and I've been like, oh, I wonder if we can use it this way or this way, and have some other customers in mind as well. So it's been really, really good. Thank you.